Nicole is about to be mad at Vanessa again. Hey y'all, hey, it is time for another episode of The Deep Dive with Toya Creates. And today is Monday, April 20th. Happy holidays. If you know, you know. And we are going to talk about today's episode of Beyond the Gates. And yes, I have my notes. First off, really quick, thank you all just for watching. If you love soap content like this and any other thing about, real life, real talk, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would love it. So let's just get into it. So we opened with Danny and Andre at home. Andre has been out all night long. Okay, he claimed he got held up with something, and there's no reason for me not to believe him, but I found it interesting that they decided to point that out within the first 5 minutes of the show. So yeah, so then Danny then moves on because she wants to ask Andre basically explain his interaction with Bill. So last week, Bill had a slip of the tongue and referred to Danny as baby. And when Andre was meeting Martin at the country club for some campaign conversation, Bill happened to be there. And so Andre took the opportunity to say, hey, man, sorry for your loss with your ex-wife, but she's my wife now, and I'm the only man who's allowed to call her baby. That was it, and that was all. So honestly, I don't see why Danny's even bringing this up. If she truly believes that Andre is not insecure, why even feel the need to bring it up? Like, unless it's just like, just like a good old kiki, like, hey, do you know what Bill told me? Like that. Fine. But this, like, oh, I just want to check to make sure everything okay is okay. It's a little weird to me, but okay. So nothing much there in that interaction. Andre explains that he is not insecure, and Danny accepts that and believes that. And then she just she talks about how she wants to basically surprise Chelsea. Now, we know already that she's thinking about incorporating Chelsea Cat in this Tatum, I think O'Neal, not Tatum O'Neal, that's a person. This Tatum woman who has hired Danny as a model for one of her lines or something like that. And this is basically Danny's return to the runway, into the modeling world at large. And so, Danny has been encouraged by the fact that Bill is going to basically bequeath the law firm to Naomi, and he wants her to run it when it's his time. And so Danny was encouraged by that because she misses working with Chelsea. And so she thinks the collaboration will be a really good idea, even though Pamela, aka Dixie, hey, all my children, and Bill both told Danny that, we don't think it's a great idea, and you should just let this comeback focus 100% on yourself. So that's where we leave it in the beginning. So next we see Chelsea and Naomi meeting up at Uptown because Chelsea Cat is doing fantastic with Finmore's, and they are, I think, revising the contract. So she had to meet up with her lawyer, who's her big sis Naomi. So they talk about that very briefly. I think the real reason Chelsea has asked Naomi out is just to check up on her big sis. So Chelsea does not know the depth of what Jacob and Naomi are dealing with. All anyone knows is that Jacob is on a training And so the family knows that Jacob is not there, and they've been doing their best with checking up on Naomi. So again, she wants to check up on her big sis, and she wants Naomi to feel comfortable confiding in her, because Naomi holds a lot in. And she keeps a lot of secrets. Like, she's handling the Jacob undercover thing. She has not told anyone about the BRCA gene. The only reason why Ashley knows is because she works at that hospital. But Naomi is holding on to a lot, and she is real frail these days in terms of just like her fortitude, because it's just a lot. It's weighing on her, and I'm sure Chelsea can see it just like the other members of the family. And so she wants her big sis to know that she can confide in her. And, she's offered to come and stay with her. Just anything. And Naomi's like, I'm just in a crappy mood because of Jacob. She doesn't go into a lot of detail. But she does say she appreciates Chelsea, being worried, and that she may take her up on the offer to spend some extra time or go out or something like that later. So that's basically it for that. And they get interrupted because Danny she texts Chelsea, and she asks Chelsea to come over to the house. And so Chelsea invites Naomi. She's like, hey, why don't you join us? And Naomi's like, as much as I would love to talk about fashion and all the things that I am not well versed in, because she's the lawyer, she's like, you just go. Maybe mom wants to talk to you alone, blah, blah, blah. So she declines, and Chelsea goes on her way. So next, we see Jacob and Smitty meeting up at his love shack. That's the motel room that he has for his boo, Naomi, which I love, even though it's very risky. So Smitty gets there, and he's cute. Smitty's so cute to me, but he is terrible at dressing undercover. I'm like, a baseball cap and a hoodie is not a disguise. But okay. He looks so cute in it. Whatever. I just have a soft spot for Smitty. Anyways, so Smitty is there, and he's like, oh, is this where you're living? And Jacob's like, no, he has a whole apartment as Rashad. Why haven't we seen that? I would love to see that, but whatever. He's like, no, this is just my motel for my boo. Okay. So then, of course, Jacob is still battered and bruised after his run-in with Ren, because Ren beat the brakes off of Jacob on Friday. So Smitty notices the wincing and stuff, and he's like, oh, what happened? And Jacob tells him, and then Jacob instructs Smitty to basically be done with this case. Now, as Smitty reminded Jacob today, he's like, but no, because this is my lead. This is my investigative story. And the only reason why you and the police department even know about it is because of me. So Smitty maintains he could take care of himself, and he is not backing down. So Jacob just moves on. So then Smitty happens to bring up, how things are going with the campaign and Martin, because Martin hired some bodyguards at the urging of the campaign, I think, manager. And Smitty and the kids were surprised with that the other week. Smitty don't want no parts of a bodyguard because he's undercover. And so Martin and Smitty agreed to that the bodyguard would not follow Smitty everywhere, but Smitty has a panic button. And so he relays this to Jacob, and at first Jacob is like, no, did he follow you here? And Smitty is probably like, look, now, I know I may be, I'm not a cop, but I'm not stupid. So Smitty's like, no, we came to an understanding. Me and Martin came to an understanding. The bodyguard does not follow me everywhere, and I have a panic button. Unless you want me to get rid of that as well, because Smitty is down. And Jacob was like, no, it's good that you have just like a safety precaution, just in case. So, They just continue to talk about the case until Jacob gets a text from, I assume, Ren, because the way that he's going to prove his loyalty, because Ren basically, in my mind, jumped him in. I mean, he had to pay for going against the rules, but I also feel like Ren jumped him into this gang officially. So Jacob is going to make amends with Ren by taking on these extra drops, and he's going to do exactly what he's been told to do. Period. Okay, that ass whooping taught him real good. So Jacob and Smitty are catching up until Jacob gets the text and he's on his way to that elevator in that hospital. Don't let Leah have to tell you again. Oh my God, I'm so okay. So then we go back to the hospital and we see Ashley and Grayson. They're so, whatever. They're so mushy, blah. So Grayson has told Ashley that he wants to volunteer at the clinic. Now, he don't really want to volunteer, but Leah told him, you are going to volunteer. And she had him checking out the place during the infamous ribbon cutting and a free clinic opening day. So Grayson is telling Ashley that he wants to volunteer, and she's like, why? Like, she's just afraid that he is overextending himself because he is supposedly taking care of his mother with Parkinson's disease on top of working at the hospital in the lab, on top of this courier position where he's picking up extra money. So he plays that off really well. He's like, no, baby, you have encouraged me to, want to up my game and up my career. Because he claims there is a managerial position open in the lab, and he thinks if he does some volunteer work at the free clinic, it will look good in the eyes of the hiring manager. So Ashley buys this, and he's like, oh, by the way, give me Derek's phone number. So she gives him the number. Okay. Eva and Derek are at Orphe Jeans. This is where they meet up and work on the free clinic stuff. And they've been getting along very well, but he is not here for Leslie, which Eva knows. And he thanks Eva for running interference and keeping Leslie away. He's like, I don't know what you've been doing, but thank you very much. So Eva starts talking about how she hasn't really had to run too much interference because Leslie has a man, and that man is Marcel. Derek was like, the only Marcel I know is Malone, and he's a cop. And Eva's like, and Derek was like, that's a weird couple. Like, isn't Marcel worried about how it'll look because he's basically fraternizing with a criminal? And Eva was like, allegedly. She's like, my mama wasn't charged. She know damn well her mama did it, but my mama wasn't charged, and I don't like how you talking about my mom. Like, I understand you don't like her, but basically only I can talk bad about my mama. And I respect it, and so did Derek, so he backed down. So like I said, well, actually, if you're loving this content, please like, comment, follow, and subscribe. So, as I said earlier, Grayson has asked Ashley for Derek's phone number. And Derek is in the middle of getting chewed out by Eva. And his phone rings, and he's like, hello? And Grayson is telling him how he wants to volunteer. And he, he's asking Derek to put me on, and Derek is like, number one, how did you get my number? Is everything okay with Ashley? And Grayson's like, yeah, I just want to volunteer. And Derek is like, I don't believe you. Basically, he said, why do you want to volunteer so bad now? Why do you want to do such menial tasks? Because Grayson had a rebuttal for everything that Derek was saying. Grayson was like, I'll stock it, I'll do whatever I need to do. And Grayson was like, I'll do whatever I need to do. And Derek is like, no. Okay, we don't need your services. Click. Eva is sitting there like, why are you turning down free work? And who was that? So then Derek comes clean, and he was like, it's Grayson, and I don't really bang with Grayson because, because Eva was like, why do you hate Grayson so much? And he was like, I don't really like him because he's sleeping with my ex-girlfriend and I don't trust him. Derek, lead with I don't trust him, because no one cares about your little jealousy, because that's how it's going to come off. Even though your firefighter tendencies are correct, nobody's going to listen to you if you are coming off like some scorned lover. So Eva was like, yeah. But we are running this business. I understand you don't like him, but even if Kat wanted to work at that clinic, I would tell her, come on. And I can't stand that heifer. So basically, she was like, tough titty. You all have to figure it out. And that's where they leave it. So then, speaking of Malone, we see Leslie at Uptown. She's waiting for someone. She's dressed to the nines per usual because my girl always looks good. And she gets a phone call. It is Malone. We can just ascertain this. Oh no, they're texting. They are texting back and forth. He has sent her a glass of champagne, very cutesy, and he is updating her on something and that the plans have changed, and she's like, great, I'll meet you there. And before that, they have their little sexting or whatever. I love it, but I hate it, but I love it. Anyway, so she goes off. Turns out she is meeting Marcel at the casino. So at that point, Vanessa has stopped by the casino as well. She's talking to her boo Joey. He's like, oh, you're in a better mood today. Oh, it must be because you made up with Nicole, because he encouraged that. And Vanessa, it's just never enough. Okay? She's gotten her man. She's reconciled with Nicole. But she is still pushing, and I'm going to tell you exactly what she did. So as I said, they are meeting up at the casino, and he's like, woo, 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 oh, you're in a better mood, blah, blah, blah. He gets a phone call from the casino floor saying there's a problem because Leslie and Marcel are there. I don't know what the problem is, but I think it's just Joey wants to know when Leslie's there for sure. And he and Marcel have dealings. So, Vanessa encourages Joey to go out on the floor and check things out. And so he does it only because she asked. Now, Vanessa has also told Leslie to come and meet her in the back room. So Leslie's like, what is this about? And Vanessa starts off by saying, she wanted to talk about clinic business because they're partners and, they should just discuss some things. And Leslie's like, girl, this could have been an email. Like, I'm out here with my boo. We at the high roller table. I'm trying to enjoy my night. What do you really want, Barbie? So then, surprisingly, Vanessa, to me, extends an olive branch and they start bonding. Vanessa's like, I want to have girl talk with you. And don't you want to have, girl talk with people who won't judge you? And, they're kind of bonding a little bit over their situationship, should we call it? Relationship for Vanessa. I don't know what Leslie and Marcel are doing. But Leslie starts opening up. She talks about how it was like, or how she felt with her last husband, Alan, and how Ted made her feel low, basically. And that Marcel, she's really enjoying his company. He lifts her up. And it's nice to be with someone or man who actually wants her company. So she and Vanessa are able to bond over this. Like, Vanessa then went into Joey's stash of booze that Leslie loves to drink like water. She's extended it. They are relating. I'm like, Nicole is finna to be pissed again. You just made up with her, but now you're doing this. Nicole, I don't know. So let's see where that goes. But yeah, they started bonding. Now, Vanessa was really nosy. She wants to know what's going on with Marcel and Leslie. But Vanessa is also scheming to find another couple for double dates with Joey. So when Joey comes back, Leslie's on her way out, and Joey is like, oh, how'd that go? And Vanessa's just like, oh my gosh, it wasn't horrible. And Leslie is actually human. Well, yeah, girl, but I get what you're saying, but duh. And she's just like, I wouldn't expect you to understand anything about friendships, because you're the lone wolf and this and that. Joey figures it out. He's like, you forced me out there to have male bonding time with Marcel. And he was like, I can't believe you would even do that. And Marcel? So Vanessa is like, well, what's so wrong with Marcel? Well, nothing's wrong with him in general, but Joey knows that Marcel is the one who killed Doug, girl. So Joey had to catch himself a little bit because he was like, out of all people, Marcel. She was like, what's wrong with that? So you could see the wheels turning. He was just like, well, he deflected. He was like, well, for one, he's a cop. And so Vanessa took that and she didn't even pick up on the weirdness. But that's Vanessa for you. So then, let's speed this up a little. Chelsea goes over to Danny's, and Danny is just like, oh, surprise, I want to feature Chelsea Cat in this Tatum runway because I think it'll be a great collaboration. And Danny is devastated when Chelsea is like, thanks, but no thanks. And Danny is like, well, why don't you want to work with me? And And Chelsea was like, Danny said, like, we were a great team and blah, blah, blah. And Chelsea was like, yeah, but we weren't. But that's no shade to you, Mom. But it is. And Chelsea's just like, I think for this, I don't want to upset the Tokyo buyers because they just closed the deal last week for that and they're waiting to finalize. So she doesn't want to upset them. And she said, Mom, this should be totally your comeback. And Danny, in front of Chelsea accepts it, but when Chelsea leaves and Andre turned that corner, she just fell into his arms. And Danny's just more so hurt that Chelsea does not want to work with her anymore. So, Danny is missing her little momager life. And she, I think, is a little jealous because Bill is going to eventually work with Naomi and is already on the Madison case. And Danny just misses what she had with Chelsea. But hey, Chelsea's an adult. And she's right about the Tokyo thing. And she wants to, get from out under her mother. I remember season 1. She was driving Chelsea crazy because Chelsea didn't want to model no more. And Danny was being pushy. So, it is what it is, Danny. So, let's see. So, Naomi goes to the hospital because she wants to talk to Ashley. Ashley knows a little more. Ashley at least knows that he is undercover, but that's all she knows. So, Naomi is able to confide in Ashley and she's like, oh, it must be nice to have a man around who you could kiss and hug because, she's missing Jacob, blah, blah, blah. So then Ashley offers to go out with Naomi because she has a break coming up. So she's like, oh, you want to take a walk? They end up at Orphe Jeans and they run into Derek and Eva, and Ashley wastes 0 seconds jumping all over Derek. Why didn't you allow my boyfriend to volunteer at the clinic? And Derek was just like, oh, you want to go there? It's because I think he's sketchy and I don't trust him. And Ashley thinks that he's just being jealous and that he's lying. And she is bewildered when Naomi is like, no. She corroborates what Derek is telling them. Because Derek was like, I don't trust him because on the opening day of the clinic, that man was casing the facility. And everyone's like, well, why didn't you say anything earlier? Like, Eva's like, why didn't you say anything? Ashley's like, oh, because he's lying. And Naomi said, no, he told me shortly after the opening, that's what he saw, but he let it go. And then Derek's just like, Derek can't really explain it completely other than that example, but he just doesn't get a good feeling from Grayson. And he's like, Ashley, I'm just telling you as a friend, I don't trust the guy. And he goes on his way. And Ashley's just sitting there like, Because Derek also said, he's like, well, why does he want to volunteer so badly all of a sudden? If he wanted to volunteer, why didn't he sign up the day of the opening? Like, what has changed? And so they just stand around and think about it. But they go about their way, and we just see Ashley just like, I'm sure she's not gonna find out from that. So then we basically end with Jacob is doing his drop in that elevator like he's supposed to. Grayson meets him in there, and Grayson can see like he's, wincing and stuff. And Jacob just tells him like, he basically got in trouble. He got checked for trying to change the location, and Grayson's like, oh my God, are you okay? And Jacob's like, yeah, but he keeps pressing the issue. So earlier, Smitty told Jacob that in his hacking, he found out that a woman named Rachel had kind of a serious charge or something, but she had it dropped, and she was able to get a job there pretty easily. So they were thinking like, oh, she must have some friends higher up. Let's look into her. And so Jacob's like, all right, I'm gonna see what I can find out. So when he's in the elevator with Grayson, Jacob just, he doesn't have the finesse, okay? He's just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Who is this Rachel person? And Grayson's like, why do you want to know? I don't know. Grayson is over there just terrified, basically. He's already seen the other guy get stabbed. He's already seen the people send henchmen after him to finish the job. So, and now he sees Jacob has gotten beaten up. So he's just like, I don't know nothing, because Grayson is not trying to end up like Jacob. And I agree. Grayson is playing the game right. Jacob is being reckless, and you can tell he has not come up in the streets and that he's a cop kid. Not that I came up in the streets either, but I've watched enough movies to know what to do and how to act. So that is what happened today. Per usual, Beyond the Gates has all the storylines going at once, but I love it. It's entertaining. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Specifically I hope they pick up with Grayson and Jacob, because I want to hear what he says. I don't know what to make of the Leslie Vanessa situation, so I'm gonna see how that plays out. And I also want to know, what was Andre doing? Were you really working that late? Am I the wife? But whatever. I'm not buying it, and that's not how I roll. But if you like it, I love it, Danny. So that is it for today's deep dive. I will see you tomorrow. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.